You showed me that it was not something to be ashamed of, nor a hindrance that I have to constantly overcome. And instead, you showed me that my autism is a part of me that can coexist with my best self.
I was actually diagnosed late. I was diagnosed at 18. Initially, I went for mental health support because I was showing depressive symptoms when I was in high school, because I had a lot of difficulty navigating through the social rules and the social complexities of how high school life looked like. They initially developed the suspicion that I was on the spectrum. And then they started talking about it with my mom and my parents. And then when they looked back at my life, they really started to notice maybe some of the interests when I was a kid. Like at the age of 2, I already memorized all the flags. And sometimes I was really sensitive as well to fireworks when I was a kid. I really hated the sound of fireworks to the point until I was like 11 years old, I would still break down just hearing fireworks. When the clinicians started to develop their suspicions, and then they requested that I have a very specific test for autism, and the assessment in itself, it generated the result that I was autistic. It gave me a really big sense of clarity.
From this assumption, many parents and caretakers stare into the future with hopelessness, as if something is intrinsically wrong with the lifelong condition. And in some cases, some autistic individuals see the same.
Here in the Philippines, our autism characterization is, our presentations of autism, our understanding of autism is very deficit-centered. Autism is seen as something very, very negative, like inherently negative. I've seen a lot of parents, I've seen a lot of people who really wish for autism to be quote-unquote cured. At the time, I was not ready to face the stigma of autism. I mean, being 18, and then transitioning into college, that's already a big change. And then you have to getting the diagnosis, and then trying to understand how that diagnosis works, and then understand how it relates with your environment. Like, there was so much to process, to the point that made me say, okay, I really need to understand this first before I could face the world with it. And with that, it felt like there was a certain weight, because in a lot of ways, I mean, there's this term in autism studies, masking, where autistic individuals try to mimic or copy what is seen as typical behaviors from their peers or their friends. Whenever I try to mask or I try to hide my autism presentations, because some of these as well are very self-calming, it makes it difficult for me to manage through very difficult situations. There's that sort of weight on it. And I really felt that relief once I disclosed it publicly. My friends kind of helped me understand my certain challenges whenever I'm in different social situations. I remember in my speech, I talked specifically about how I couldn't really read social situations as much, so to the point that I would just leave in the middle of a conversation. That's something that they did point out. My mentor encouraged me to tell them myself so that I could practice my self-advocacy. They've been very open. They've actually asked questions about it. They asked, what do I need? What do they need to do? What do they need to know? What are the protocols? And it made me feel like they were really there for me. Whenever I would study for an exam or complete a task, what I would do is that I would look at the task. I would break it down into very specific, smaller tasks that are very connected to one another. Then I would schedule it throughout the next week or two, and then I would follow that very specifically. Graduating summa cum laude is something that a lot of people really work really hard to achieve, and that's no different from mine, because I really put a lot of effort and a lot of myself into my academic journey in DLSU, and it felt like the culmination of everything that I giving all my requirements and all my efforts into DLSU, but also all the efforts into understanding myself and how I want to grow and where I want to be in my life.
In a greater world, that boxed him to his deficits. You made an autistic boy look into his future with hope, a future with immense potential, unbounded from negative stereotypes and pessimism.
Reaching this milestone makes me feel like that all of these fears are, it should not really be there at all. I should not look down on myself. People should never look down on me because I'm autistic, because it's a difference. It's something that doesn't necessarily make me inferior as a person. Having this milestone and reaching such an achievement kind of affirms to me and affirms to other people that there's nothing wrong with being autistic, and we could still achieve these certain things, or these certain milestones, or these certain achievements with the condition. I would really suggest trying to understand how your autism manifests for you specifically. Because once you have that understanding of how you present your autism, how it affects your life, how it affects your well-being, how it could be used to promote you and to further move forward in your life, that's the time where you could start living with your autism in itself. We should really encourage autistic people to find their best understanding of themselves and their autism, so that they could live their life acknowledging it, embracing it, and continuing with every life pursuit they do set out.